So I believe we're thinking about impact this Advocacy Awareness Week, which is wonderful and tricky, isn't it? Because advocacy, really hard to measure what we do and really hard to think about impact because we're not decision makers. The best I think we can do is influence. And when we think about kind of the impact of our advocacy, I think it does take place in those moments of influencing. And that can be the decision, it can be commissioners, kind of through systemic advocacy. But in this little video, I wanted to just take a minute to think about how do we influence and have impact on decisions through storytelling. Because particularly in non-instructed advocacy, when we're writing our reports, we have to celebrate and shout about the person's story. It's not enough, is it, to just say that our partner loves dogs or our partner loves cricket. That's okay, but I think we need to do more than that. We need to influence the decision so that the person gets a dog or the person gets to go and see cricket. I think we can do that through storytelling. I was thinking kind of my own advocacy practice and my experience over the last 6 months. And the one that came to mind was a bit of training that I co-delivered with a carer. And it was a masterclass. It sounds much more fancy than it was. But a masterclass thinking about positive relationships with carers. And the impact we wanted was the professionals coming to this masterclass to really appreciate what carers have to go through. And we didn't want to do it in the mind. We wanted to touch people's hearts. We wanted to make a shift on a human level so that the professionals felt more humanity, I think, towards carers and were more appreciative. So that was our goal. That was the impact we wanted. So as I'm telling this story, think about the impact that you're seeking. What's the impact you want? So the impact for me was to touch some, the carers, the professionals' hearts so that they were appreciative of the carer. And of course, we were giving them all the data and the stats and stories of carers. And then the carer I was co-delivering with, who's a wonderful friend, and he's amazing. And he just shared his story. He shared his story, which essentially means that his loved one's in a mental health hospital. And his loved one is, about 250 miles away from where he lives. And for the carer to visit him, it takes him 3 trains, a couple of buses and a tram. And it takes about 6 hours. Now, I know that, unfortunately won't come as a surprise, but that's what it takes for him to visit his son. And what happens when he arrives at the hospital and he's been travelling for 6 hours, he's probably a bit sweaty, he needs a cup of tea, he needs a friendly face. And what he's met with, and this is what we told them on this masterclass, what he's met with is often, name, have you any contraband? Now, the impact of this carer sharing his story with the professionals was really quite profound. Because in my experience, professionals professionals want to get it right, but they had put the security and the risk ahead of absolutely everything else. And they'd lost sight that this was a carer, another human who needed a smile, needed a friendly face, and needed a cup of tea. And I'm sharing this example because during the masterclass, we could visibly see, on the Zoom, the little squares that you get, you could see the professionals kind of feeling a bit ashamed, feeling a bit like, oh God, we do that. And all it took, it didn't take a human rights challenge. Do you know what I mean? It didn't take a complaint. It didn't take some big piece of work. It just took a human story to change what was going on for the professionals in their hearts so that they could appreciate what was going on for the carer. And I guess that's what I wanted to share this Advocacy Awareness Week was stories are powerful. Stories are really powerful and they don't need to be complicated. So when we are celebrating people's stories, please do that. Please celebrate them and share what's often the most simple thing.